Not really, no. It just depends upon the year. You know, some years Clone 5, for instance, which we've got here right behind us, can outperform the Dijon clones. But it's not typical. Yeah. You're aware that we've got, you know, you've got your 667, 777, 115, they're all Dijon clones, and then your Clone 5's a Pommard clone. It's an older clone.
5 is Pommard.
Yeah, Pommard, yeah.
And the rest?
And the rest are Dijon
Okay.
clones. We might just move up a little bit away from the van so we don't have too much distraction up the hill.
Can I just jump straight into a question?
Sure.
Is aspect a big deal here because
Yes.
of all the hills and stuff?
Absolutely.
I mean, how does that influence
Absolutely.
your canopy management? And
Not so much canopy management. I think we're probably a little bit more careful. I'll start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, what we call our main block here behind us is about just over 3 hectares of mixed clone Pinot that is obviously more north-south facing. Whereas here we have 6 rows of Clone 5 Pinot that's more, well, west-northwest almost facing, so not quite, you know, at 90 degrees almost to this. And then this road block, as we call it, which has been grafted, is in the same aspect as this one. So the simple answer is that we probably a little bit more diligent in regards to leaf plucking, particularly on what I term the lesser sun side. What would be the lesser sun side here?
That one here.
That side, okay? That side, not this one here, the other side. So we need to ensure that we get as much sunlight there. You understand that a lot of the physiological ripeness of the grapes are determined by direct sunlight. So in lots of ways, tannin, colour, degradation of malic, perhaps to some degree, but that's more temperature, but related to sunlight. Interestingly enough, I don't think you could easily tell the difference between the wines made off this aspect and that aspect.
so they all ripen at the same time?
No,
Or, no.
they don't. So that's the point. The
different
differences are probably going to be as much when you pick as their aspect.
Yeah.
I think generally, yes, there are absolutely differences.
So flavour-wise?
Flavour-wise, I think the flavours are coming later with that aspect. Ripening is a little later with this aspect compared to this one.
But the difference not.
I think in the wine, if you pick them at roughly the same physiological ripeness, I don't think you're going to see big differences. You'll see clonal differences, but you won't see differences so much related to the aspect. But the aspect is important.
Do they go to the same winery or the same people?
The gentleman who owns the vineyard takes a small amount of fruit from this block and it takes those 6 rows.
Okay.
And he actually really liked the 6 rows this year. He thought they looked fantastic this year. So
The pruning that you're doing, is that just one part?
I'll talk about that just a sec, but it's a good question. So just to finish that, the soil, the clones, the rootstock, the management are very critical to the whole thing, but the aspect is clearly influencing the ripeness or the timing of the ripeness of the grape. That would be how I'd summarise that, but there will be differences. But could we measure them? Could we distinguish them in a wine? I doubt it. Unless you work with it for years and years, I don't think you could distinguish major differences in that respect. It's a good question. So I'll just answer this one now, if that's okay. Oh, okay, well, sort of north-south, roughly, here, and west-northwest, south, I don't know how you'd, north-east-north, I don't know how you'd say the opposite of west-northwest. I mean, northwest is about there, so it's actually slightly west of northwest, to be honest.
Okay.
You'd have to get out a compass, sorry, to get it absolutely right.
Really ripen
Later, they do. They absolutely ripen. These 6 rows typically get picked 4 or 5 days later, and that block there got picked a week later than the last fruit came off here.
But also sometimes that's just style of what
Correct.
different people are
I'll
wanting.
just add to that that was the choice of the owner of that fruit.
Could I just? Oh, sorry.
Which way's north?
Oh, about up here. About here. So we're not directly north-south, but we're close as hell to it. So what will happen is you'll get a more even amount of sunlight on both sides of the canopy, whereas here you don't. It's far more on one side than the other.
Is it the topography that determined the layout?
Absolutely.
So you couldn't
Well, you could have, but you can imagine the terracing work you'd have to do to make it work. As it is, there's some terracing gone in and here to make it safer, but yeah, it'd be a big task.
And that bit down there,
You're right.
because you're
Yeah, it's
sloped
very
that way,
steep.
That way,
Yeah.
like that's the.
We've had to terrace parts of that too to make it safer to work on, to operate on. Because you can imagine you're going downhill steeply and you've got that slope like that. Yeah.
The goats.
When I managed this block myself, I lived in the house, well, the shed as it is, up the back there for a couple of years, and I was using a crawler tractor with a joystick. So that got around this block really well. I only slipped in that a couple of times, but
Just to keep you on your toes.
this new tractor we have is much harder to work on this block. It's safer, but it's harder. So yeah.
I'm just thinking soil looks particularly hard around here. Do you do much soil work?
Permanent sward. That's all.
Yeah.
We add fertilizer. We'll talk about vine health in just a sec, but no, just a permanent sward. We don't. There's nothing. It goes hard in summer and wet in winter. And the important thing is, with a shower of rain on this, you virtually can't operate a machine on it because it gets slippery.
Yeah. No, that's what I was at. Like, if you might put a rotary hoe through the rows every now and then or something like that. Just to,
We're thinking of putting some cover crops in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're thinking of it. Yeah.
What would you use then? Have you used cover like mustard seed or something? Or?
Oh, I don't know, probably some sort of a legume, some nitrogen fixing, possibly a mixture of stuff. Yeah, something to put a bit of, more than anything, to put a bit of organic matter back in the soil, because these soils are low in organic matter.
Right.
And you need to understand the principles of that. I'm sure you will. I'm sure Dion or somebody will tell you about the importance of organic matter. We're pretty low with organic matter, but we have regimes of using a bit of grape mark, which we started to use up here to good effect where it's a bit lean. Because there is while that hill looks like it's all clay, it is, but there's some vigorous parts to it and there's some non-vigorous parts to it. So our management, we've put extra drippers in to put a bit more moisture in there. We've used a bit of grape mark, and we use liquid emulsifiable concentrates fertilisers applications. We've done 3 in the last 4 years, and we'll do soil tests and just see what effect we're having. We haven't this year for the first time for 3 years, and we're going to see what's happened after this season.
Swanee brought up another thing. You mentioned before that you put sheep through here.
Yep.
Does that affect the pH? A bit?
Oh,
Sheep should
quite
pretty-
likely it would be slightly. It would probably bring the pH down a little bit, I would imagine. I think uric acid would, well, not so, urinating would have an effect, but I'd say it'd be minimal. We have 6.4 pH here, which is almost perfect. Sorry, that's me.
That's you.
I'll switch it off. So
it's naturally pretty much at that optimum sort of.
it's fine. Yeah, we don't have a problem with pH.
How much topsoil have you got here?
It's very little true topsoil.
Yeah.
It's clay.
It's clay. It's
Yeah,
straight away.
there's that much in
And-
places and none in others. Yeah, so it's clay.
Reset.